Bezos of Amazon, I don't know, I never thought of him as much of a censor given the nature of his main platform. Amazon, it's a store, really. Now, I did have a censorship problem with Amazon when I published my book, China Virus, a few years ago, the beginning of the pandemic. Amazon banned it, then they unbanned it, then they banned it again, and then they unbanned it again. I'm not making that up. 4 flip-flops. It was madness. They later said in a very cryptic letter that officials didn't approve of the book, but they didn't say which officials. Were they Canadian officials? Were they Chinese officials? Were they officials from the World Health Organization? It was very mysterious. Anyways, I really just sort of thought of Bezos as an e-commerce guy more than anything. He's had some midlife crisis things like getting himself a pneumatic second wife who makes the news for underdressing, shall we say. And he's got his own spaceship company, a little bit like Elon Musk does, I guess. But Bezos does own the Washington Post, perhaps the most influential political newspaper in America and thus the world. Now, the New York Times, of course, is very important and larger, but for covering Washington, I think the Washington Post is the insider newspaper, and obviously Jeffrey Bezos owns it not to make money, it loses money, but because he wants a seat at the political table, as all these billionaires seem to do once they've conquered everything they set out to conquer. And I don't know if it's a reaction to some of the crazy Trump derangement syndrome stuff in the media these days, or I don't know if Bezos is trying to cozy up to Trump in some way, like Zuckerberg clearly is, or I don't know, maybe Bezos is just actually getting around to reading his own newspaper for once, and he can't believe what he sees. But today, for whatever reason, he wrote an extremely important and bold memo that was actually beautiful in parts. And I want to read it to you in full. Here it is posted to Twitter. It's a letter to his staff. He said, "I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages." And that's key, opinion pages, not news reporting. "We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of 2 pillars, personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others." Let me pause for a second. He means other newspapers. The Washington Post will not. Let me pick up on his letter. "There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. I am of America and for America and proud to be so." Isn't that a beautiful line? "Our country did not get here by being typical, and a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else." And then here's maybe my favorite line that I think shows how deeply thoughtful he is. "Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion, and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity." I offered David Shipley, he's the existing op-ed editor, whom I greatly admire, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. This is a significant shift. It won't be easy, and it will require 100% commitment. I respect his decision. We'll be searching for a new opinion editor to own this new direction. I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. I also believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market of ideas and news opinion. I'm excited for us together to fill that void." Jeff, boy, he says a lot there. First of all, I am of America and for America. I'm choked up just thinking of him saying that, because a lot of these multi-billionaires, they regard themselves as larger than being citizens of a nation. They bestride continents. He's saying, no, I'm American, I'm of America and for America, and then he says that freedom is a moral thing we're going to fight for every day. I think there's some deep thinking in there. But the nature of America, how it's special, the nature of owning a prestige newspaper, and that the owner of it can make a decision to control its moral viewpoint, of course. He says he won't meddle in the reporting, and I'm sure that's true. But when it comes to exhorting viewers to see things in a freedom way, an American way, that's what Bezos says he's going to do. And I love that question he put to the editors: say hell yes or retire. What an amazing opportunity that would be, that job. And it says a lot about the man who declined that opportunity. And by the way, you can see the gnashing of teeth throughout the media, including at the Washington Post. Look at this. This is a reporter. This is an incredible response by a Washington Post reporter who says, massive encroachment by Jeff Bezos into the Washington Post's opinion section today makes clear dissenting views will not be published or tolerated there. I still have not felt encroachment on my journalism on the news side of coverage, but if Bezos tries interfering with the news side, I will be quitting immediately and letting you know. Encroachment, he owns the newspaper. He's not stopping news from being reported. He's taking ownership of the exhortations, of the moral beliefs of the editorial pages, which is exactly where you would want a media owner to do so. That's where he should speak, if anywhere. Imagine the sense of entitlement that some reporter, a dime a dozen reporter, objects to the owner having a point of view, but the half courage of it. Oh, I'm really mad. I'm going to stick around for now because I like my job for now. But I tell you, people, I'm so mad. If he goes further, I'll let you know. What a weirdo. What an unteam player. Here's another Washington Post writer who seems to have quickly deleted his comment. I can't find the original, but I see it screenshot so many places. That person didn't like it very much, and he had courage for about 10 minutes, then he deleted it. And then there's this from Keith Olbermann, who is not with the Washington Post, but he's a leftist TV journalist who used to have a show way back when. He said, "F you, Nazi, and tell your plastic girlfriend she's actually shamed herself, which none of us who ever met her thought was possible." What? First of all, I don't think the Nazis stood for personal freedom, which is the distillation of Bezos's message. And while I have my aesthetic differences with Bezos's new missus, how on earth is a weird personal attack against her relevant or even appropriate? Oh, right. The left is only feminist whenever it suits them. Just ask the male feminist we call Justin Trudeau. I am very excited about this, but I'm also very jealous. Why does only the United States have this awakening? Why does one of the richest men in America get to do this, but the owner of the Globe and Mail, the richest man in Canada, not do so? I'm talking about David Thompson. First it was Mark Zuckerberg, now Bezos, Elon Musk, and the Doge rooting around waste thing. Why don't we get that? Will we ever see freedom on the march in Canada too? Yeah, one can only hope.